Well, hello, friends. If you don't mind me calling you friend, my name's David Vos. Well, I am just sitting here on my porch here on my cabin, Oklahoma, and I've had a couple of interesting days, which we won't get into. Just doing a lot of brush burning and stuff on my property. And something absolutely amazing has come to my attention. And so I want to just real quickly make a video to let you guys know that something amazing is going to come to David Vos television. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be trying to do some research on something called mushrooms. I don't mean psilocybin, although that's part of this. But we've been lied to. Again. Mushrooms. Isn't it? This is just another proof. Another piece of evidence that when you get this little piece, will blow your mind. It just opens some sort of canal up through the brain and just kind of sends a firecracker up there and BOW! And you're like, whoa, I'm awoke now. I mean, think about this. If there was a substance in the world that could give you eternal life, and you didn't know about it, do you think the government would let you know about it? They'd probably go and they use it for themselves so they could live forever and gain all kinds of knowledge and control us. Like, they'd be like gods and we'd just be these little mortals living and dying every few years while they live forever. What if there was just forget that. Okay, let's assume that could not happen. But what if there was a substance that grew on a tree, not part of the tree, not a fruit, not a plant, as you would understand a plant, but some strange substance that you could find on just about any patch of forest somewhere, any type of climate, desert even possibly, and a lot of it in forests and jungles. It just pretty much anywhere in the world, somewhere. You could find this substance either hanging on a tree or at the base of a tree or out in the grass near and around some trees, or growing off a dead tree, or this kind of thing. Just a substance that was pretty prevalent everywhere. You could go and get it right now in the forest. And you could take it and it would cure your cancer and all the other diseases. It would be inflammatory. It would get rid of arthritis. It would just be this miracle cure with all the vitamins and nutrients. Let's say you're a vegetarian and you need some kind of meat substitute. Most people who don't eat meat after a while, they think, well, I need something that tastes like meat at least. So this particular thing that I'm talking about can be a meat substitute. Now, I'm not saying it's going to have a lot of protein, but it's a very important part of diet. Let's put it that way, that we've never had. I would dare say that out of 100 of you out there, one of you has had any amount of this substance in their body to speak of. I mean, that'd be like, and I don't mean like, oh well, have you ever had fruit? And you say, well, yeah, I had some fruit, of course, in the last year. Okay, how much? I had 3 grapes, 3 raisins. That's about it. That would be the same kind of thing. If the 4, 5, 10% of the people that have had this substance in their bodies has been like that, like 2 or 3 grapes. In other words, if you're supposed to eat grapes, 2 or 3 a year isn't going to get it. That's not even, you might as well say they've never had it. They don't eat it. It's not something that any of you eat on a regular basis. But now there might be 0.1% of you that eat this on a regular basis. But only 1 or 2 varieties, probably. And it's a variety of this thing we're going to talk about that is pretty much not. It's kind of like with any food, you need the wild variety that grows in the natural environment. You don't, if you go to the store, like it'd be like going to McDonald's and saying, oh, I got a McChicken, so therefore I'm eating healthy. In other words, no. Pretty much then, 100% of you have not really had this in your diet and don't know anything about it. And here's the kicker. The reason why is because your supermarket doesn't promote it, except for the one variety we talked about. That, like I said, is just a dud. Doesn't do you any good much. But it's all right. But it's not, it's not what we're going to be talking about here. So, you're not going to find it in the store much at all. Just the 1 or 2, 3 varieties. Hybrids. And therefore, you probably are not going to have ever had it. You've probably been told, just make sure that you don't go out in the forest and start eating it. You've probably been told it's poison. You're scared out of your mind. You would never even partake of this because you think it's probably poison, because that's what you've been told. We talked about this some time ago. I was talking about fruits that you find in the wild. And we're going to get to what we're going to get to this thing that I'm so excited about here in just a second. But I want to give you an example. We were also talking about fruit and nuts and stuff. And eating things that you might find in nature. And, most people, when they go looking in nature for berries, or they have to know exactly what it is. I mean, that's a raspberry, or that's a strawberry. That's a huckleberry if you live in Montana and Idaho. But, other than that, all these other thousands and thousands of wild plants and berries and stuff, you're told don't ever eat it because it's probably going to kill you. It's poison. There's so many things that's poison. It's all poison. Well, therefore, that has gone a long ways to causing human beings to stop eating pretty much altogether any wild plants so that they will go to the store, like dutiful little creatures that we are. It's kind of like when they tell you, oh, there's a virus going around that's kind of like the flu and it will kill you. But why is it that in my lifetime, I've had the flu I don't know how many times, especially when I was a little young boy. I had the flu several times, like almost every winter or something I don't know. I don't remember a lot of it, but everybody gets the flu. And not only did I not die, I never even came close to dying. It was not even thought of. We didn't even give it 3 mind glances. It was like, I got the flu. Well, I guess I'll get me some Kleenex before I go to work. We didn't worry about the flu. But now it's like, oh, it's a big panic. We're all going to die. And most of you believe it. You get the flu, you run right to the doctor. I got the sniffles, doc. What am I going to do? I'm going to die. Oh, my God. They said so on the TV. Oh, okay. But you see how this gets... They haven't quite befuddled and convinced and deceived everybody on that one. But because a lot of us are older and we remember having the flu a whole bunch of times and we never got sick. We don't care about that. And so most people are going in to get their flu shots, but some of us aren't. But they try to convince, and they try to deceive. But they do scare us. They make us believe that whenever there's an epidemic or a pandemic or whatever, that we need to go to the doctor. And they scare us about a lot of things. Well, it's like that they have this power over us. They have all this propaganda. Well, like I said, if there was in the nature, out there in the forest, out there in the field, something you could go and eat that would be free, that's the first point. It's free. It's all over the place. It's free and it's delicious. It's like you could fry it up and put it in anything, your noodles, your rice, your potatoes, and it's like a vegetable. All right, come on, Dave. Tell us what. All right, I'm talking about mushrooms. I'm talking about fungi. It grows everywhere. But you were told, don't just go around eating mushrooms. And the very idea of fungi is so foreign, most of us wouldn't even consider eating a mushroom or even thought about it. You've never heard much about it. I mean, there's a few people that do this. They go out in the wild today that collect mushrooms, but they probably don't eat it on a regular. Although I think there might be a few people that have done this. But oh boy, there's so many things you've been lied to about. So you've been told it's poison, and you don't know which one. There's a few good species that might be good for you can eat, but there's so many poison ones out there. Just like we said, you might eat a berry and keel over and die. Oh, but Dave, there's thousands of people dying every day from hemlock. Or, okay, yeah. Who's going to go out into the field, into the nature, and grab carrot top? That's basically, they're the carrot family. And there's like a little frizzy little fern. Not many of us would consider that a food. I don't know how in the world anybody runs around cutting. I think they think they're carrots or something. I don't know. Maybe they put them in a stew. All right, do not gather a bunch of vegetables and ferns and roots and things and put them in a pot that you don't know what they are and then drink the whole thing. Okay? But if you were to go out through the woods and pick a berry that they claim is poison, all it would do is make you have an upset stomach. Most of the stuff they say is poison isn't. And there's very few that are actually poison. And like I said, we're not made to eat roots. Most people wouldn't be going around eating the roots of a tree or the sap from a, snake or we know, and God and nature provides it. It makes little beautiful purple berries and red berries and, flowers that ornament the whole fruit before it's born and fragrances and colors that are delightful, and you go right straight to it and you know what's good. You take a berry and you put it in your mouth and it's all bitter, you don't eat it. So if you boil it down and got rid of all the berries and fruits and things like that were bitter and that nobody would eat anyway if they were had any common sense, other than sometimes people just grab stuff they don't know what it is and put it in the soup, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, there's not that many species of berries and nuts and things that you would find in nature that you wouldn't eat. You can go out and get an acorn off an oak tree and eat it. But you say, oh, that's not edible. See, a lot of things are edible that they say isn't edible. Because acorns, they may taste bitter, but you can boil them, cook them, and they're delightful. The Native Americans ate acorns. It's just the same as beans. You don't eat them raw, hard old beans. You got to put the pinto beans in a pot and cook them with salt. But you don't say they're not edible. I mean, there's lots of foods that are edible in the wild, but somehow or another they've taught you that, oh, it's all poison because if you ate one bite of it without cooking it, it might give you an upset stomach. Oh, and by the way, there's one species somewhere in crazy, a fern growing somewhere on a mountain that if you eat that, you could die. So therefore, don't eat any wild plants. Look, I'm not telling you to eat stuff you don't know what it is, but it's very simple to pick certain things in your area. And then you got a phone and you got Google and you can look it up and see what it is and identify it. There's plenty of things to eat. But what I want to talk about is fungi. And like I said, I'm not going to really get into this today, but I want to start doing a little research about it. And I want to do some more on this. But I think just think about the way you feel about fungi. Well, I'll tell you how I feel. And maybe this will ring with you. As a young person, I used to sometimes be playing in the yard or whatever as a child. And I would see a fungus and we'd like stop and I'd look at it and it's like, some of these fungus, some of these mushrooms are beautiful. There's like something odd. There's something different. It's not the same as plant species. It's something different. It's a fungi. It's not even the same. It's not like a different genera, of plant. It's literally something completely different than plant. It's a fungi. And so there's this whole one range of thing that's everywhere. There's probably a lot more fungi in the world than flowers or fruits. And yet we catalog all the fruits and all the nuts and we talk about, oh, these are good and these are bad and, and whatever. Or, we say, because I don't know that there's too many nuts that are bad, but we catalog all these that are really taste good that we want to market. Let's put it that way. And we say, oh, these are acorns and that's not good. And these are walnuts and they're delicious, but you got to get them at the store because you don't want to be going out there in the wild. So, but we catalog the stuff. We know what nuts are. They're food. We know that. We know what berries are. We know what vegetables are. We know what herbs are. Oregano. We know what onion. We know all this stuff. But almost none of you understand what a fungi is. It's why? Why have we not been told? You go to college and they won't teach you a course on fungi. You'll skip right over, to herbs or something. But they don't study fungi. Nobody knows anything about fungi. You try to look it up and they're like, well, we don't know anything about that fungi, that kind of mushroom. We don't know for sure. We haven't studied it. Now, why is it they don't want to study it or make that knowledge available? I'll tell you why. Because mushrooms are a fungi. That means they have some very special properties. One, they have phenols, they have polyphenols, that are phytochemicals that give you well-being and long life. They're anti-aging agents. They produce a situation in your body whereby you cannot get cancer. And if you have cancer, it will kill the cancer. Why are we not talking about mushrooms and fungi for the treatment of cancer? That's what they do. They get rid of cancer in your body. Now, I'll go over that in more detail in another video. But mushrooms are not only delicious, many of them are delicious. You need to cook them. And they basically taste like little pieces of meat or something that, they're juicy and tender. And now, so if you're out walking around in the forest and you pick up a fungus and you say, well, I don't know if it's good or if it's a bad fungus. Well, I'm not going to be the one who gets in trouble for telling you to do something you shouldn't do. So let me put a disclaimer here. I am not telling you to eat something that you don't know what it is. Okay? You should always know what you're eating. All I'm doing is saying that we have been told something. We're being lied to in a big way. And this is it. Do you know that there is really only one family of mushroom that's poisonous? Now, there may be other mushrooms that make you upset your stomach if you ate too much or whatever, But it'd be like if you went out in the woods and somebody said, "Oh, now don't eat that big old stick over there. That big old stick will make you sick." Well, who'd eat a big stick? You eat with your common sense. And you say, "Well, that's not, it's got too much roughage. You can't digest a stick." Okay. My dog does it. But anyway, so where are we? There's 2 to 3% of all mushrooms in the world. 2 to 3% that are poisonous. That means 97, 98% of every mushroom you see is not poisonous. Okay. You say, well, that's pretty, what if you just go out and start eating mushrooms when you get that 1%, Dave? Well, that's true. That's why you don't want to do that. But I'll tell you something. To be afraid of mushrooms because of that 1 or 2 or 3% is ridiculous. Especially since the 2% there is basically this one variety of mushroom. And there are 4 things that characterize it. And no other mushroom has those 4 characteristics together. I'm told they have a spot or warts on the cap. They have a little cup at the bottom of the, a cup meaning a little, as if a cup is, the mushroom's growing through a cup. The cup is at the bottom of the base of the mushroom. And they have on the bottom of the umbrella, or whatever you might say, on the bottom underneath, it's rigid, stringy. It's this particular, I forget the word right now that they use, because some mushrooms have pores and some have these little streaks. I can't remember the name for them, but you can look that up. Anyway, there's 4 characteristics, and no other mushroom has those 4. You avoid that mushroom. You just find out. So if you want to know how to go out and forage for mushrooms, just find out how to identify that one bad mushroom. But, see, I'm skeptical. This one bad mushroom that supposedly is bad for you. Well, I'm going to do some research. Just how much of this mushroom would kill you? Like, would you have to eat 5 pounds of it? You know what I mean? Or would you have to eat it every day for a month? You know what I mean? There's things they don't tell you. So I'm going to look into that. But, perhaps it is just deadly poison. You just eat one bite of it and you're gone. Okay? Doubt it, but perhaps. Okay, we want to avoid that then. So I'm going to look into that. But my point here, and this is just what threw me into this tizzy when I just had to just make this video real quick about mushrooms, even though we're on another subject, which I think is very interesting. But the idea that there really is only one mushroom that's poisonous and all the others are just great, and some of them might, maybe, if you're, and you know what we're finding out is that some people can't handle mushrooms, just like there's people that cannot handle fruit. Well, you need to eat fruit, friends. And if you can't digest fruit or milk or things like that, or beans, then there's something wrong with your stomach. You're not healthy. You don't have a good gut bacteria. When you're allergic to things, this doesn't mean that you're supposed to be allergic to things. That means that's due to some sort of improper gut bacteria that's causing you to digest or react to food that you shouldn't, in a way you shouldn't react to it. So yes, some of you are actually not capable of digesting or getting near certain things. And that's so everybody needs to be careful and needs to know their limits. Now, if you're not really allergic to anything, then you wouldn't have a problem if you're a relatively healthy person. But if you're somebody who's allergic to everything like peanuts and, you're allergic to tomatoes or whatever, there's people that they're allergic to things. And they're very, they have allergies even. And I understand that's a plague, and for some very, it's very sad that people have that problem. But we wouldn't go around telling people that because there's a percentage of the population that might get allergic to beans or peas or whatever, that we should no longer eat peas or beans, that something's wrong with it, that there's a portion of the people in the world that could die from eating peanuts. Okay, But I eat peanuts and they're delicious and I would never stop. And it'd be ridiculous to tell mankind that they shouldn't eat peanuts or beans or whatever, because there's a small percentage of the public that can't tolerate that. So, for the most part, mushrooms and fungi is tolerated by most of us. But for one thing, a lot of people have never eaten it. You might start slow and build up to a bigger portion of that in your diet, because it has all these phytochemicals that are we're going to get into what it does for you. But I believe that there's a magical quality, and we're going to find out, and I'm going to tell you about this in upcoming videos. But have you ever noticed in the fantasy films and movies and, Cinderella and all the elves and all that kind of thing, and fairies and all these beautiful mythical beings and movies about it? Have you ever noticed there will always be a mushroom and, certain creatures like a salamander, like a little lizard, a little toad? All of these are symbols. Now, who knew this to be able, and who could orchestrate all these symbols to be in every fantasy fairy tale you've ever seen? Like you can go try to go find a fantasy, what do we call them? Fairy tales. They're fairy tales because they're about fairies, and we learn about fairies. It seems like all fairies like mushrooms in a forest with ferns. Well, go back and watch some of these, and you'll notice it's kind of like, I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, but it's like, what if you were given a picture and told, all right, this picture has something wrong with it, and you've got to figure out what it is and then fix it. So you stare at the picture, and finally you notice that you need to get out. There's something that tells you need to get out, and you need to find a door. And somewhere in the picture, there's a door. And you try the door, but it's locked. Then you have to start looking for the key. And so it's this game where you got to find you've got to conquer the game and get out. So you're looking at the picture and you see the key on the nightstand. And then you know that since you found the key, you can get out of the door and escape. Well, in these fantasies, you've always got the princess and you've got the fairies and all of these things. But as the camera glances past the scenery, there's always one unmistakable item, and that's the mushroom. And yes, there's other things around the mushroom. The mushroom is like the central thing. Around the mushroom, there may be a butterfly. There may be a toad. There may be a lizard. All of those things are spiritual symbols. But they all surround the mushroom. Now, what am I talking about? The mushroom is sacred. And everything surrounds in the forest. Even the deer come to take a look at the mushroom. And it's been said that the deer like to eat the little mushrooms because these psilocybin mushrooms make the deer feel very happy. And it's been said that flies even flock to the psilocybin mushroom. And they eat and decompose perhaps, but they eat the mushroom. And if you find a mushroom that's been cut down or is laying there and you see the flies there eating on it, it's been said that the flies will actually then not only be high, but the flies, if someone ate the fly, would get high. And it's been said that the frogs sit on the lily pads and wait for the little flies to come by and grab them. And then the frogs get high. I don't know if the story is true, but it's interesting because, of course, we're joking there, but the symbols in all the fairy tales, look at them. There may be a fairy hovering in the right-hand corner of the picture. And of course the fairy is important. Why, she can give you all your wishes. But the point is how are you going to bring the fairy down? Not everybody gets the chance at talking to a fairy. Well, perhaps one needs to become aware of the solution to the puzzle. Look into the picture, and there in the center is your only way out of this wicked reality. There it is, the mushroom. It's weird, it's different, it's magical. But if you have the wisdom to eat the mushroom, you'll leave this world. And many people say that after eating mushrooms, they come back not being afraid of death anymore. Because the beautiful mushroom may very well be a ticket to understanding and wisdom and enlightenment. It is said in India, the deep Burma, that Buddha was born from the lotus flower. And not many rabbis know this, but some very few wise rabbis do. But just about the only plant that's mentioned in the Old Testament over and over again is the acacia tree. And that is the wood that they made the Holy Tabernacle with, as well as the Holy Ark of the Covenant. They overlaid it with gold. They made many things with the acacia wood. Another thing that they did that few people know, but perhaps some rabbis, is that in the great tent that the God Yahweh came down on the mountain to explain to Moses, took him 40 days of fasting and 40 years of wandering in the wilderness by a whole bunch of people, all for one thing: make a tent. And inside the tent, in the most holy, just before you get into the entrance, I want you to put an incense burner. And this is not a normal little incense burner that you might think. Now, this is actually a little altar that has something burning on it that is making a great smoke. And the law of the rabbi in Jewish law was that when the high priest would go into the tent, he had to stay in the tent, not just until the substance they put on the altar, which, by the way, is the acacia tree. And it's related, practically the same as the mesquite here in America. But it is the psychoactive, hallucinogenic version. But they were to put the mesquite and burn it until the room filled with smoke. The priest was not allowed, by law, to leave the tent until the smoke had filled every corner. And thus he was forced to inhale. And when he came out of the room, the special DMT that was administered by the acacia, the high priest saw God and feared not death again. Of course, all of this was preceded by the high priest being anointed with the holy anointing oil, which was made with 1 part cannabis, 2 parts olive oil, and a little frankincense and myrrh to make it smell beautiful with a great fragrance. And they would anoint the top of the head, and they made it so strong. I mean, this was a very thick oil. It didn't just like run down your head. It was pretty thick. You basically you anointed the body with it, like a paste, almost like a cream. And then to anoint doesn't just mean to pour. And it would be absorbed right in through the skin. More or less, a little bit like when you go to the dentist and the dentist puts some swabs in your mouth, which kind of deadens the outside of your gums before he takes the needle. And so it's the same with this. Mushrooms. They don't look like really a food. They don't really look like an herb. They're a medicine. And ultimately, several varieties of these mushrooms, and we do not yet know what mushrooms really are, because very few people have even been allowed mentally to conceive of eating these holy, holy things. But in early Christian writings, there are, and we'll get into this probably in another video one time, but there's a lot of evidence that early Christianity ate the holy mushroom in order to see God and to be anointed and to open the chakras. If you partake of mushrooms properly, it can give you enlightenment. There was a great sage who said to his master, "Master, I'm going to far country, and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to find bliss and nirvana." And so he goes into the mountains on the top, and he sits in a position of a yogi. And he fasted, and he prayed, and he meditated for 40 years. Finally, after 40 years, he achieved enlightenment. And he had the powers of one of the greatest sages. He could make water come from a rock. And he had opened his chakras so that he saw God. And he went to his master that he had known 40 years ago, that was his teacher, and he was very excited, and he ran down and he said, "Master, I've done it. I spent 40 years meditating, fasting, and praying, and I've found it." And the master said, "Why, son, would you be so foolish? When one sitting with the psilocybin mushroom can give you the same thing." Wow. Are we being lied to? You know, Buddha was born from the lotus flower, which is a very hallucinogenic drug. It's in the Bible. The Bible talks also about the mandrakes. It's all over the Bible. But you've never heard about it, and I wonder why. I wonder why they made cannabis illegal in this country so long. I wonder, what are they keeping from us? You know, a lot of you say, well, it's not illegal now. Well, they're legalizing marijuana, but most people don't know what to do with it. They're still smoking it. That's not the best way to partake of cannabis. And so you're basically not allowed to grow it yourself, although there are a few people that do that and experiment and understand it, or you can have something, but if you don't know how to use it, it's almost worthless. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot that we're being lied to about cannabis. I think there's a lot more to that plant But I think the real surprise is the mushroom. People are talking about how good cannabis can be for you and how, it makes you happy and heals your body, give you a body high and a mind high and all these things. But nobody's talking about the mushroom. I've heard that people have bad trips on mushrooms. But you have to understand this. You need to start slow when you first start with anything. Very small portions. Until you know what you can imbibe yourself. But there's a reason why there are bad trips. And this has been documented. But because most of society has no idea what mushrooms do and what what the experience of people doing it is and stuff. But do you know that most people, when they take mushrooms, sometimes they will have a very bad trip. You can't overdose. You can't die on the mushrooms. You'd have to eat like a lot. But most people just take like one little mushroom. And, you're not going to like eat 5 of them. You could overdose on, pickles, I guess, if you ate the whole bottle, But the mushrooms, you can't overdose on them. They're just so interesting. It's crazy because there's just something that is there that we're like acting like we never knew it, or it's somehow we're scared of it. But these things can give you a bad trip. But there's a reason for it. And you're thinking, well, okay, I don't care whether it's a good reason or a bad reason. If it's going to make you sick, then I don't want to do it. Well, it doesn't make you sick. But the thing of it is, it's a spiritual practice. And so, if for some of you you've got bad memories or perhaps a couple of your lives back, 400 years before this one, you had some bad memories and you're going through some emotional things you're trying to overcome, well, that's what these can do. They will put you through an experience that will wake you up, change your life. And if you do these things slowly and right, you can literally reach that nirvana. You can literally reach enlightenment. To be born again is what the Bible calls it. Truly being born again, so that you know who you are and that you're immortal. One person says that all of your chakras, you don't exist in 7 different dimensions anymore, but they just all enfold into one chakra, and you're just like your whole being is right there in the center of yourself. And the world then becomes a kaleidoscope. And once you've come back from that experience, it's like you have been there. You've seen it. You've been one with the all. And you realize how amazing it all is because you saw it. And never again can you be unhappy, because that experience will stay with you. But before you get to that experience, sometimes you have to go through a little bit of trauma, a little bit of getting through the swamp, through your emotions, sort of let go and forgive some of the past. You're going to have a few fears manifest. that you will conquer with a few sessions with the great and mighty mushroom. Anyway, David Vos, I'm going to go ahead and go. I hope you guys have a really great evening. See you tomorrow.